Hey legends.
Hello legends.
It's a pretty crazy time at the moment. We hope everyone's keeping safe.
To avoid any confusion, this video was filmed back in early February before the global pandemic really took a hold and the borders started closing.
Yeah, Thailand was one of the first places affected, and so we were in the midst of the tourism hub and we were being as safe as we possibly could.
Alright, back to the video, enjoy.
We're taking this Indian Ocean crossing pretty seriously. We're going to go around today and pick up a few bits and pieces that we need. I don't want to get sick and I don't want anything to get in the way of our plans.
Look at that thing!
It's awesome.
After a great day of downwind sailing and testing out our new asymmetrical spinnaker, we suitably named Unicorn Fart.
Oh, isn't it beautiful?
We arrived back in Chalong Bay on the south coast of Phuket. We'd left the boatyard in Krabi only a few days before, but we still had quite a few jobs on the list to complete before Nandji was ready for the Indian Ocean crossing.
Check on the red one.
Our departure day was approaching fast and soon we would be leaving Thailand for good. Yeah, so we decided we'll cut it. One of the few remaining places on Nandji that has been untouched by us, the new owners, is the forward in the bilge and the V-berth. So we've done the bilge in the saloon bar, done the bilge aft, under the motor, in the aft cabin, all that sort of business. And we've just done the saloon in the boatyard, and now we're out at anchor and we're sorting out this V-berth once and for all. Yeah, there's a lot of toys. This stuff we've got to sort through. There's jobs, dive tank, all the crap that we've got to get rid of. These hidey holes aren't actually too bad. We've pulled up all the bed and chucked all the pillows outside and that, and Benita's going ham on them at the moment. There's the old salt water line. There's a salt water line that goes from the pump in the toilet that comes up to the front, and we've got a hose up on the bow there so we can wash everything down. And that's this hose here that I'm going to cut and remove. Pretty much sanded all the little holes. Don't need to sand them back too hard. Just got to knock any of that old paint off, and yeah, so we've cleaned all that up. We don't have a vacuum, so we'll have to sweep it all up. Lots of wiping with acetone. Because the hose weaves up and down all the way through the boat, I've got a funny feeling it's going to have water in it. And for those of you that don't know what stagnant salt water smells like, it's not very nice. And this is the original hose, saltwater hose that was on Nandji when we bought her. It's the one thing I haven't cut up before until today. Oh, it's not too bad. Oh, yeah, no, here it comes. Oh, rotten eggs. Oh,
That's so gross.
the old salt water hose.
Oh,
How's that?
I'm so glad we're doing this because that is just...
Put your nose on there.
Hell no, I'm not going anywhere near that thing.
Ooh. Have a look at the state of this boat.
We've been living on Nandji for 4 years now and she is still surprising us. We've been thinking about turning the front V-berth, is currently a double bed, and we were thinking about turning it into 2 singles, and so we finally agreed upon it, and yesterday we got to work. We were going to cut up the bed. We found out that it already does that. The middle of the bed pulls out and it separates itself. You know, we've been on this boat for 4 years and she's still surprising us. Nandji's a little bit hard in that there's not a lot of storage space, and so this is going to help us out a whole lot. We're going to put our surfboards on one side and then our sails on the other side. Loving it, so happy. Come and have a look.
Crazy, so it sits like that. We've always just shoved stuff underneath it, put stuff down the side, usually climb up here and get into each hole. Now,
take it out.
are you kidding me?
Got easy access.
So like, it's not total head height, but you can pretty much stand up in here, at least enough to deal with sails, put sails up and down.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We've got a storm jib, a spare head sail, and now Unicorn Fart. So we want to be able to put these sails here ready to use while we're at sea.
Yeah.
We'll go straight up and down the hull.
Yeah, loving it. We've painted all the other bilges and we just haven't done the one in the V-berth yet. So we're going to paint that as well, freshen it up, make it really nice and clean, and a nice little storage space there for some of our stuff. When we first moved on Nandji, there was a lot of stuff on here. We bought it as is, and so there was a lot of stuff, and we didn't know anything about sailing or boats, and we weren't sure what things were for or what we would need, and it was hard to throw throw things away because we just didn't know if it was relevant or not. And so over the years, we've just slowly been getting rid of stuff. But today is the day we're doing a full clean out, getting rid of all the junk. We know what we're looking at. We know what's good. We know what's bad. And we can make those judgments and yeah, just get rid of all the junk. It's cleansing. I feel cleansed. This is a spiritual moment for me. I'm loving it.
Well, because of the bilges up the front, we've got to prime and paint that, and we use the same paint to prime. I'll use a different top coat out here. I'll use the top coat to match the cockpit, but I'll use the same primer, so I might as well prep these last two window hatches that didn't get painted. Yeah, just so paint everything at the same time. The bilge and the V-berth is all sanded, prepped, wiped down with acetone. I've got the two hatches all sanded back, all taped up. So everything's ready for priming. So I've whipped out my little workstation on the bow here of Nandji. We've got crap everywhere, eh? We'll mix the paint up here and go slop it around.
Look at this. Josh is currently varnishing. We're going to go around today and pick up a few bits and pieces that we need and just try to tie up all these loose ends. The boat is still in an absolute shambles. There's stuff everywhere. We're fluctuating between doing boat work, doing editing, organising things, and you can only do one thing at a time. So yeah, today we're on the scooter and we're driving around. Marley Man's been for a burn this morning on the beach, so it gives us about 3 hours to go and get some stuff, and then we come back. Hey Johnny, we'll bring you some chicken. Good boy. Our first stop is at Phuket Marine Supplies. We're here to get another mixing elbow and a gasket for the engine. The mixing elbow is only rated for like a certain amount of hours, and we've already surpassed that, so we've got to get a new one. It might last forever, but we've got a backup as well. We're trying to have supplies for the engine that will last us 12 months. Alright, the second place we're going to is Lala Zitas, I think it's called. They're the guys that have PFDs, so we really want to make sure that we have one of those, and if we can't get it, we have to order it. A few more things in the boat lagoon chandlery. I've got a water pump with me and just bits and pieces like harness points. It must be my lucky day. I think I found the last masks in the whole of Thailand, and perhaps even the world. I feel like the whole world would be running out of these right now. They were behind the lady at the counter, and it was the last packet there, and it looked like there was none left, but there was. I could see from the side, and so I scored them. So we've got these little masks. I've never worn these. This is the first time I've ever worn one of these in my whole entire life, and today I even had a conversation with someone with a mask on. It's so weird. I don't want to get sick, and I don't want anything to get in the way of our plans. So right now we're at Rolly Tasker, aka Heaven. Have you found what you need? Please say yes.
Yeah, found what we need. It's just in Harkin, not in Ronston.
Oh, so expensive?
Yeah. Because I want to run a second head sail halyard, I'm just trying to look for an in-mast exit where it comes through as a double rope rather than just a single. So something like this. So that'll be in the mast. One halyard comes out here, one comes out there, except that doesn't work, that go opposite ways. But something along those lines.
Yeah. This is what we purchased today. This is probably about $2,000 Aussie worth of stuff. That's how expensive boat stuff is. So I'll walk you through it. We've got our mixing elbow. This was probably like 600 bucks. Transmission fluid, and some more blue tape, canisters for our PFDs, got a gasket, 2 anodes for the prop, just some zip ties. We got some varnish here to do a bit more woodwork on the way. I got a spare lifeline in case we have a crew member joining us, which we may have. Big tub of damp red. We got a spare battery for the torch, screws. These are anchor points that we're going to be putting in the cockpit so that we can tether onto, a buckle to fix Marley's life jacket. This thing costs $500. This is $500. Like, I'm not even going to talk about that. Got an in-mast thing to run another halyard. These things for the winches. Got a little net for some fruit and veg and a cover. Just little bits of everything, but nothing great. We're taking this Indian Ocean crossing pretty seriously, and normally when we're sailing we hook into the steering wheel and that sort of thing as our anchor point, and we thought we want to put in some proper anchor points. So we've got 2 of these. Yeah, we're still trying to decide where we want to put them, and we're thinking we want to put one on either side of the cockpit.
I guess logic says you want to keep it low and towards the centre, so your tether, if you do fall, you're not actually going to reach the edge of the boat.
What about here then?
It has to be out of the way, you know, so you don't bang your knee.
I think that's the best place. So then, like, you can't fall out at all.
Yeah, where's the tether?
So yeah, our tethers are, I think they're 1 metre, 1 point... How long? Yeah, they're about a metre long.
So I guess if we do have it, yeah, like there, you can still get around. That's probably close to the best place.
Yeah, like it's out of the way.
You can access both winches.
This is here, so you can't hit your legs on it. I think it's fine. I think that's great. And then, like, it's still inside the cockpit. You can't fall out.
Something like that then, eh?
Yeah, sideways would be the best, I reckon. Yeah, I reckon. Is it going to be all right hand steering if it goes under that wheel there?
Probably not, eh? It's going to suck.
We decided we're going to put one on either side of the cockpit and then one in the middle behind the steering wheel to make it so that it doesn't interfere with our steering. It's nice and low and towards the centre of the boat.
There's some pretty thick little screws that I've used, so I've just done a little pilot hole, and then we'll smash a bit of sticker on the back here to keep it waterproof, and then I'll put a bit of sticker on the screws as well as I smash them in. And then I've got a rag and some acetone there to clean it all up with afterwards. But we've got to make sure no water gets in on Fang. Screw.
It's great. So we're on to the next job, and we're going to be replacing some of the running rigging.
Another little upgrade we're doing before leaving for the Indian is changing the running rigging on the main here. This is quite exciting for me because I've been looking at these old manky plastic blocks and been heaving away on them for so long. But to get bearing blocks, which is what we're upgrading to, it's quite an expense, and they're quite expensive, but the ease and the reduction of friction by using a bearing block is going to make life so much easier, especially if we have a bit of weather and we need to, we've got a 3rd reef in and it's blowing 40 knots, so we want to be able to have the ease of just pulling it up, and rather than battling friction with these old manky plastic blocks, we've got ourselves some bearing blocks.
Broke the bank.
Broke the bank, but I feel really good about it. And so we're going to change off all the Traveller, the old Ronston blocks here with new Ronston stuff. So we've got a nice shiny new Traveller. I'll just have to pull this apart. I guess it just slides on and off the end there. I'll just pull out some screws and we'll swap it all over. I don't know how old this gear is. It could be the same age as Nandji for all I know. Like, they are old blocks and they're just like plastic sheaves. So if we do have a bit of weather and something starts breaking and exploding, it's not really ideal for any sort of situation. We want to be able to rely on our gear, and especially in heavy weather we want to be able to rely on it. So the best thing to do is to upgrade it and make it all new and fancy and safe and fancy. So I probably shouldn't have pulled out that middle one. I didn't really think about that, did I?
Whoops.
Might need some tape. It's still quite solid, like I can't see any damage in it, there's no cracks or anything. So we'll definitely keep it as a spare and a backup. So it's kind of like got a single Beckett and then double 2 singles, whereas we've changed it to put another, we'll change it with a single Beckett and a double block instead. Would have been nice to have a double block with a Beckett and then a single, but hey, that wasn't available to us. So off with the old, on with the new.
Oh my God, that looks so easy. Oh my God, that looks so smooth. Oh my God.
You should be feeling it then.
Threading the needle.